Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Sagnick Dutta. I'm a third year MBBS student at Bardwan Medical College and Hospital, West Bengal. I hope all of you are doing great. So recently I've been making this series of videos where I specifically talk about the subjects of first year and second year of MBBS. And in this video, I shall be talking about another subject of first year of MBBS, and that is biochemistry. Biochemistry turns out to be a little boring subject to most of the people, but trust me, it is not. And the reason is simple why we actually feel it to be boring, because we try to memorize this subject, try to understand this subject from the textual facts that are present in the books. But if we treat this subject more visually than textually, then this subject becomes very easy to remember and understand as well. But the fact remains that this subject contains a lot of informations, but that can be very easily solved by the use of flowcharts, diagrams, and mnemonics. What we really need to know and understand about this subject of biochemistry is that it is a very scoring subject. Why is it so? Because most of the people tend to leave this subject. Rather, if you focus on this subject, then it is a very high chance that you score well in this subject, because the questions asked are very direct and are easy to answer. In this video, we shall be diving into details of this subject of biochemistry. And if you really like this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button as well as the like button. So without much ado, let us get into the video. First things first, we shall talk about the resources. Now, what are the books that we should use for this subject of biochemistry? I want to really refer to this one particular book called as Lippincott's Illustrated Reviews of Biochemistry. Though the name suggests that it is an illustrated review, but it is far from being that. It can easily replace a full-fledged textbook. It is very comprehensive yet very concise and actually is of great help. This you can consider as a gold standard book, and this are the main points why I actually say this to be a go-to book, a very good book. This is very student friendly and it is actually very easy to read this book. Why? Because of its textual informations, how it is represented. The representation is not boring. It consists a lot of images, tables, diagrams, and even the spacing between the lines and the fonts are larger, and that is why it becomes very easy to actually read this book as a whole. Now, what I really want to specify in these books are a few things. Number one are the illustrated diagrams. In biochemistry, what is very important are different kinds of cycles, different kinds of mechanisms, different kinds of formations of different products. And that is very well illustrated in terms of flowcharts and diagrams in this book. Second are some tables. For example, a condition called hyperlipoproteinemia. There are different types of that, different mechanisms of that, and different organs and clinical features related to that. That in this book is very well represented in the form of a table. And these tabular data actually help us to understand and remember these facts more easily. Another very important part of this book are the medical and clinical areas. They are given in separate boxes, highlighted in different colors, and that becomes very attractive to remember and learn as well. At the end of every chapter in this book is a visual representation and illustration of the entire chapter as a whole, and that is so very helpful to know and understand using that table and illustration. The illustration is so crisp that it actually helps you to revise the entire subject, the entire chapter using those illustrations, and that is of much help. And at the end of every chapter is present some long answer questions, short answer questions, as well as MCQs to help you dive into details of the chapters. And that is why I actually preferred reading this book as a whole. Now, as I just said previously, that biochemistry as a subject, if you treat it like a visual subject, if you create visual memories of the informations and the topics of this subject, then this subject becomes a way more easier than it actually seems to be. And that is when this book comes into play, because as I just always mentioned, the illustrations, the diagrams, the flow charts, the tables are all very good in this book. Now, most of us do not actually like reading these foreign authors' books, but I really recommend you to read this book for biochemistry, just as I recommended Robbins for pathology. But if you yet try to find out an Indian counterpart of this book, then there is this book called as the Textbook of Biochemistry by Dr. Vasudevan. This book is no doubt good. This book is hefty, has got every information. If you really like the language of this book and its representation, you can go for it. Now, having talked about the resources related to the books, let us talk about the video resources. Now, there are two video resources that I really want you to refer to. Number one is a free video resource, if you can refer to, on YouTube, where Dr. Rajesh Jambulkar sir teaches biochemistry, and the channel name is of the same name as well. It is very crisp. All the informations that are needed for the university exams are being taught in great details in short videos in this channel, and this channel is of much help. You can refer to that. I referred Rajesh sir's videos very well, but apart from that, I was a premium subscriber of Prep Ladder in first year, just the way I said about it in the video of anatomy. By the way, if you have not seen this video on anatomy, you can just go and click on the I button and watch that video as well. In that platform, and now she teaches in the platform called as Cerebellum, which I am a subscriber of now as well. Dr. Smiley Pruthi ma'am, she is awesome. The way she makes us remember the cycles using mnemonics, using shortcuts, is very interesting, is very important. So I feel if you really need to take a subscription and you really want to pay for it, then go for Dr. Smiley ma'am's video lectures, because that is going to help a lot. If not, you can always refer to Dr. Rajesh Jambulkar sir's videos. They are more than enough for your university exams. Now, once we have talked about the resources, let us talk about the important topics of biochemistry. Now, while talking about the subject of biochemistry, I like to divide this subject into three sections, which is usually divided in the books as well. Number one is general biochemistry. Number two is the general metabolism, and number three is molecular and genetic biochemistry. In the first section, let us just talk about the important topics. So as I said, it is about general biochemistry. So it is basically about the chemistry and structural organizations of the different biomolecules like carbohydrates, amino acids, lipids, fats, etc. So this actually forms the crux of this entire subject. We need to know and understand about the chemistry of the different molecules, and this is somewhat what we have read in our class 11th and 12th as well. So it is a very easy portion to deal with. So the important topics are different structures of different carbohydrates found in the human body and are useful for the human body, like glucose, fructose, galactose, mannose, etc. Apart from that, some structures of lipids and amino acids are also very important. So get into the structural differentiation and chemistry of these important biomolecules, and that would actually do the job. Now, talking about the second section, that is general metabolism or biochemical metabolism. Now, in this case, there are very few important topics as well. The general metabolic cycles for carbohydrate, lipids, proteins and amino acids should be known by you. Now, on the basis of those, there are many differentiations like chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids. If we just talk about carbohydrates, there are various types of carbohydrates like glucose, fructose, mannose, lactose, etc. And everyone have got their own breakdown cycle. Now, you should not refer to every bit of that, but the things which are important and are usually asked in the past 10 years of your question should be referred to. I've given a list of the entire important topics related to biochemistry and your previous year questions. You can go and download that PDF on the description box as well. And the third and the important section, which I feel is very important, is the genetic biochemistry or the molecular biology. Now, in that section, the basic things needs to be done: the structural differentiation between nucleotides, nucleosides, and the entire DNA and RNA structures, which we have already read in our 11th and 12th, but these are present in a little more detail that needs to be talked about. Second are the formations of the different kinds of nucleotides. We need to also talk about the degradation of the nucleotides and also talk about the different metabolic diseases related to these metabolism of purines and pyrimidines. Now, once you have known that, you should get into even more higher concepts like transcription, translation, replication, and even molecular technologies like PCR, RT-PCR, TrueNat, VNat, etc. And that would then be very helpful. Apart from these three sections, which are very important for the theory aspect, one thing which is very important for biochemistry are the practical topics. For example, the liver function tests, the renal function tests. And apart from that, one particular thing which is very, very important for biochemistry is the cardiac markers and various other systemic markers as well. Especially talking about the cardiac markers, which you will be later on studying in the second year subjects as well, is basically taught in this subject of biochemistry. So if you do that here, it won't be a problem for you in the upcoming years. Apart from these, there are some very vague topics like the immunochemistry, which usually people don't ask, but there are a few marks like 2 to 5 marks present in every question paper. So you can look up to that after you have completed all these basics and important topics present in the book. Now, having said about the resources and the important topics, let me just talk about the different questions, how you should practice them, what should be your approach towards solving questions. I firmly believe that if you write the different cycles, important topics of biochemistry time and again, you would by heart them very fluently. And once you have done that, what would be very beneficial for you to know, understand, and help you remember the subject as a whole is practicing MCQ questions. So what you should do is first write multiple times the different important cycles, the list of which I'll be giving in the description box in the same PDF. And after you have done that, you should practice MCQ questions. Take out the previous year questions which are present in your university exams, as well as some NEET PG and INICT questions as well, so that it actually helps you develop those higher order thinking skills. And after that, practice rigorous MCQs for the subject of biochemistry. And that has got two very important benefits. Number one, you are slowly and gradually preparing for the different kinds of competitive exams, and you are just building up a habit for that. And secondly, because this subject of biochemistry has got many intricate details, it becomes very important and easy for you to actually remember it easily. And that would actually help you with this entire subject as a whole. So with that, we come to an end of this video. If you do really like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because 95% of you do not subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends, as well who might find them helpful as well. Thank you. See you in the next one.